right. Hi, everybody. Thank you all very much for coming. Welcome to the talk on so many features, so little time. All right, generally what the goal of this talk is about, if you're anything like us, you've been in a situation where you're looking to use OpenStack to provide and unlock new features for new customers. The goal, the hope, the dream is that there's a lot of really fun features upstream that you can just pull down and make available to customers. No problem, right?
Right. And every new release, there's more features, which means more value for your customers.
Right.
Right?
So this is just an endless roller coaster ride of things getting better for everybody. We're going to be talking a little bit about what our experience has been attempting to do this, some of the pitfalls we've run into, bad assumptions we've made.
Some lessons that hopefully y'all could learn from and not repeat, and some advice for the foundation to help everyone in the future as well.
Exactly.
So I'm Devananda Vanderveen. I've been an upstream developer, contributor on the technical committee, and started one of the OpenStack projects. So I'd say I know it from the developer perspective pretty well, and that's sort of how I'll be talking about my experiences.
And my name's Jess Lampy. I've been coming at this from a project manager role, largely focused on the product side and looking in a customer-facing capacity. So the first bad assumption that we've both experienced is this notion of we mean the same thing when we use the same words.
It seems obvious, right?
It seems very obvious, right?
That's a duck.
I think it's clearly a rabbit. And we're all using the words that would actually indicate that those things are the exact same thing. Now, but what do we mean in practice more practically with OpenStack? Something very specifically like disaster recovery.
Clearly, we have a service in OpenStack that delivers disaster recovery, and customers want disaster recovery. I'm quite confident what they want when they say that is an offsite backup or a redundant site. They want to have two OpenStack regions that can do failover.
And very excited to close a sale. It's very easy to go, yes, we've got disaster recovery, yes, we've got disaster recovery, never realizing that what in fact they meant was automatic failover. This gets us into a situation of once we've already gotten to a point where we're trying to provide the service, we're now in a bit of a quandary. We're not actually offering what the people thought they were getting.
And, you know, upstream developers, customers. The feedback cycle here sometimes is a bit slow, where customers clearly want one thing and developers are focused on something else, and getting those to line up might take more than a release or more than a couple years sometimes.
Exactly. Bad assumption number two, if it works today, it will work tomorrow. The whole idea, after you.
If it's in OpenStack, it's always going to be in OpenStack. The service is there today, it works, right? It's ready.
Right. A very dangerous assumption to make when you're customer facing. One instance in which we've personally run into this was the offering of VPN as a service with OpenStack. When a time came that was deprecated and made unavailable for customers, or for us, it became unavailable for our customers. And it was an easy enough thing to miss when excitedly moving towards all the bright new shiny features that were on the horizon with the newest releases.
Yeah. I wasn't a developer on the VPN as a service project, but I did talk with them, and what I understand from them and from all the services, as happens when you're a developer paid to work on a project, is sometimes your priorities change or your management changes and you move away. And the way this is communicated about from a company developer to upstream down to folks building products and selling it sometimes is also slow. Even though that there is a lot of effort being done by the foundation to do that, the assumption that it was there in the last release, it'll be there in this release, yeah.
The third and final bad assumption is that dependencies will remain constants between the services that you have to offer. So what we like to think about this with an analogy is this wonderful dating matchup chart. I've got a set of services on the left-hand side that I've already got in my system, and it matches well with the ones I need up on the top. And I want to go offer a new service, and I can assume that those are going to remain constant when the matchings with our other systems.
And even within these services, there are features as well. So some of these rows and columns might represent specific features in a service.
Exactly.
And now, as a developer, I'm busy juggling all these changes and requirements coming in from my management or from upstream or other companies, and I'm trying to review patches and merge all these things. There's so much going on, and I've got to make sure that what I'm focused on, it works.
And as a customer-facing capacity, I'm too busy focusing all my new customers. I'm just assuming that everything that already worked is going to continue working great, and that anything else that's coming in can be implemented and integrated with no additional changes to what we're doing.
So I'm going to build this awesome new feature called DVR. And clearly, distributed virtual routing, this is going to make networking better. Everyone's going to love it. All the product folks are going to tell me I did a great job delivering all this new value through networking and NFV.
Unfortunately, what we discover is that in the course of implementing DVR, we end up breaking other upstream services or blocking our ability to integrate. Firewall as a service, for example, VPN as a service as well. The introduction of a new variable makes unavailable some other feature that we had. But you would not have been able to realize that very readily, would you?
Yeah, as a developer, I'm looking at DVR and I'm building it, and in my environment, it does all the things that I thought it needed to do. I didn't even realize his customers were busy using the last networking, the other networking configuration in a different way. And the same thing applies to services, where someone else might, like I might build a new project. Someone else in a different product might build a dependency on my product that I kind of loosely knew about, but not really, because it was mostly built downstream.
Exactly. So we've gone over our 3 bad assumptions. If we were to recap, it's we mean the same things when we use the same words. If it works today, it'll work tomorrow, and dependencies will remain constant. Now, we would say that the first 2 assumptions are kind of on us as people trying to provide services to customers.
Yeah, as product-focused people and customer-focused people, it's your responsibility to make sure that the words you're using are the same. And for the upstream folks, we have a lexicon. We should all talk about that and make sure it's the same thing.
Absolutely. However, for the third one, we think that there is a little bit of a call of action that we could do as an OpenStack community in order to make it easier for people in our shoes.
Yeah, between all the different projects and what this event is about and the PTG, I think that it could be better communicated and better tracked. It is a lot of juggling, but it's juggling that downstream folks can't really do. They don't have the visibility. But I'm going to talk with the foundation, other product teams this week about improving how they communicate about these cross-project interdependencies, especially when they change.
Exactly. And if the end product ends up being some sort of chart that may look akin to that gives us the thumbs up, the thumbs down, or a wonderful heart that tells you your services are going to be working great, we think that would be a fantastic step towards making the lives of developers trying to figure out how to implement these things a whole lot easier.
And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I guess now is the Q&A portion, so. Yes.
What is the feature that you try to implement that maybe you try to implement but could not? What's are there any projects that you tried and failed?
Question was, what feature did we try to implement but could not? Like as a result of upstream changes?
Or just the features not fleshed out?
VPN as a service.
Right, and I think related to one of those slides, Freezer was one that the understanding of what it was did not end up matching specifically to what the customer's need actually was.
So folks who at some point in the past had written the wiki page on that had used certain words without defining those, and everyone else who read that thought it meant different things.
And the exercise towards making that make sense felt like a super pedantic one of everyone sitting down and being like, what do you think that means? And us all sharing a Google Doc.
Yep.
I think our experience was that you really have to be aware of not having bias confirmation and trying to invalidate the null hypothesis effectively when you're trying to find common understanding there.
Yeah, clearly I'm right.
Exactly.
It's a duck.
It's a duck. No, it's a rabbit.
So,
It can do the thing
So the question is, have we faced a situation where a customer wants a feature, the project supports it, but have we tried to ascertain if the project is mature enough or if that feature in the project is mature enough? So all the projects do provide this information. The foundation actually has a published clearinghouse. You can sort of search for this. It's called the project catalog. And it rates all the projects' maturity along different metrics. What it doesn't get into is the feature set inside a project.
Right.
So let's say networking overall is rated, but L3HA or DVR is not. And
Absolutely.
where it gets super challenging is vendor integration. Let's say networking plugins, networking itself might be rock solid and good when you integrate with Cisco or Arista, but not so much with somebody else. Don't know. And so that comes down to a matrix of cross-vendor compatibility that is outside the scope of what upstream can do.
Yeah. I would definitely recommend, and I can speak to two of my former colleagues back there, hey, a process that we went through while implementing one of the services they were working on was Trove, and they very methodically went through and validated each of the databases that was considered offered just to make sure that it actually would work in production. And our experience didn't necessarily match to what was said would be available.
Yep.
So,
Oh, thank you.
you're welcome. All right. I think we're good. Thank you.